I wonder what your reaction is, because it seems as though the judge was saying, when you sold this token XRP to institutions with paperwork that amounted essentially to a business plan, then it is a security. Although you could see it as a commodity, a way to play in the currency of your own blockchain, native blockchain. How do you react?
Well, let me back up for a second. The SEC brought 3 lawsuits. They brought a lawsuit against Chris Larson, the co-founder of Ripple. They brought a lawsuit against me, and they brought a lawsuit against Ripple. They lost the lawsuit against Chris Larson. They lost the lawsuit against me personally. And Ripple mostly won the case that they brought against Ripple. And so there's one narrow piece, and the SEC, in my judgment, and as certainly many are reacting, the SEC clearly lost as a matter of law. And the judge wrote, XRP is not a security, as a kind of intrinsic thing. In certain circumstances, which is kind of a narrow definition around institutional sales, it could be a security. So, look, the market reacted in a very positive way. Certainly, Team Ripple is very happy with the decision, and Coinbase is up 25% yesterday. The value of XRP is up somewhere between 50 and 80%. So, the market has reacted as a clear win both for Ripple and for the industry.
All right, so what is going to be the result then for you as a result of that piece of the decision, Brad? And what is going to be the result for Ripple as regards to that piece of the decision from the judge who ruled that it is a security when looking at the institutional sales?
So the institutional sales ends up being, from the broad perspective, I don't want to say inconsequential, but it's the smallest piece. And I think in some ways it's ironic. The mission statement of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission is to protect investors. They went after Ripple, suggesting that, all kinds of things, everything we were doing was selling an unregistered security. And the judge really very clearly said, sales through exchanges, not a security. When it's used for compensation, not a security. When it's used for incentives around the overall XRP ecosystem, not a security. So, we have already moved a lot of our activity, and frankly, 95% of our customers are non-US. So a lot of our activity has been outside the US jurisdiction because that's where our customer demand is. But I think that's where the US is losing. And I think what the SEC has been trying to do is to put power and politics over what is really just sound policy and providing clear rules of the road such that entrepreneurs and investors can participate in this amazing new market around crypto and blockchain technologies.
Well, you raised an important point there about the fact that this is a globally connected crypto community, Brad. And while there was, given how all this was playing out, a delisting of XRP on platforms in the U.S., we saw a delisting, in markets like Canada as well. Can you just walk us through? We're hearing about relistings of XRP over the last 24 hours, but what the conversations with platforms are like for you right now?
Look, we actually, those are decisions made by the exchanges. But I mean, John, first of all, good to see you again. And it's when the lawsuit was first filed, a lot of the exchanges in the United States just said, look, we're going to wait and see what happens. And it's really because of the confusion that the SEC, in my judgment, had sowed in the market. They were increasing confusion in the market. And even as part of this lawsuit, the discovery process we saw is that they knew there was confusion, and they actually did things that they knew would increase confusion. And the only reason to do that is because this confusion actually masquerades as power to the SEC. But John, as you pointed out, just in the last 24 hours, all of the major U.S. exchanges, whether it's Bitstamp, Gemini, Kraken, Coinbase, have either relisted or publicly announced their intent to list XRP because there now is clarity. The clarity is XRP is not a security as judged by the United States. Of course, ironically, no other country on the planet thought that XRP was a security, but it's nice to have that clarity now for the market here in the United States.
So this is still a legal process playing out. I think people watching, an SEC appeal process, what that looks like. What does it mean for your company in your business in the interim?
Look, as a matter of law, the law of the land right now is that XRP is not a security. And until there is an opportunity for the SEC to file an appeal, which would take years, And frankly, we're very optimistic. If they were to file an appeal, we think that only further solidifies the decision this judge made. Because, look, as a matter of law, as a matter of the facts, and really as a matter of looking back in the history here, for the SEC, really, it's overreach to suggest, as the chair has said many times, that basically everything in the crypto space is a security. Well, we now have a judge very clearly saying that is just not true, and very clearly saying XRP is not a security on exchanges and all these different use cases, which I think helps the whole industry for sure. So this is a win for Ripple. It's also a win for the entire crypto industry. And I think that's why you saw the crypto industry react so positively over the last 24 hours.
What is the most important use case, you think, Brad, for XRP? And do you feel limited at all in, publicizing use cases you're excited about, lest it be considered a security when you do that?
Well, the good news is, I mean, the answer to your question is that yesterday, before this lawsuit was resolved, or the decision came out yesterday, I would have said yes. I was worried about, evangelizing different use cases. I'm no longer worried because now there's clear rules of the road. The judge has made a determination, and that's the law of the land. Now, to the first part of your question, look, Ripple has really built our primary business. Our primary go-to-market has been around solving this cross-border payments problem. Today, and as I've certainly talked with John Ehrlichman about over the past, sending money overseas, even from the U.S. to Canada, can be slow, it's expensive, and it really has not kept up with modern technologies. Ripple is using XRP as part of our technology stack to dramatically increase the speed and dramatically reduce the cost of managing cross-border payments. That's how Ripple is using. There's interesting things going on in the real estate market around using blockchain technologies to reduce the friction of any financial transaction. These are the use cases. There's going to be a lot of them. I really feel like it's the earliest days of the internet where you couldn't even predict how these technologies would impact various businesses and various financial transactions.
And Brad, maybe talk to us about personally for you over this last day. You mentioned, the lawsuit specifically with you. And you also mentioned the industry itself, or a victory for the industry. Have you been talking with your industry peers over the last 24 hours?
Look, I have heard from literally hundreds of people throughout the industry at all levels, and there's just broad enthusiasm and excitement that this is the first time the SEC has lost a crypto case. It's because I think the SEC's been a bully, and they've gone after weak players who couldn't mount a proper defense. Ripple had the fortitude, the courage to kind of go, and frankly, me individually and Chris Larson individually, to fight this fight. And I think many, many people in the industry are responding positively because the industry needed someone to fight, because the SEC was really just using regulation through enforcement as their primary tool. And that's not a good way to build a market. And the SEC still hasn't done the hard work that other countries have done, whether it's the UK or Europe, where they have provided clarity for rules of the road so that investors and entrepreneurs can build. And that's what has made American technology innovation so profound. Clear rules of the road. And even now the SEC is more focused on bringing lawsuits as opposed to doing the work. I will just conclude that thought with, the good news is you're finally seeing in Congress, you saw a number of elected officials yesterday tweeting about the Ripple case and really calling on on Congress to pass laws so that there is the clarity that the SEC knows does not exist.